And Myra is our captioner. So at the bottom of the screen, you should be able to type in a live transcript. Let me make sure that I do this here. Chris, I made you co-host, so can you let people in?
I can, thank you.
Myra
Let me see who that
to
is.
be a captioner. Myra, I think I got you hooked up there.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Fantastic. So for those of you in questioning, gee whiz. Show subtitle is what we'll do. Should be able to hook up down below and see live transcripts. Okay. Chris, whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Okay, great. Well, welcome everyone. And so it's 6:31 and we'll call this meeting to order of the special meeting for the Community Garden Advisory Committee. Teague, do you want to take a roll call or we'll do that after we approve the bylaws in the future?
I think we should probably go ahead and start doing it now. Do you want to go ahead? I guess I should do it. Chris
Yeah, I think it's
Gutierrez,
Here.
Susan McCory, she's here. Kaya Catherine Dodge, I see her here. Andrew Lieberman,
Here.
Alan Toy,
Here.
Nat Zappia, he's waving hi. Cordula Oman.
Here.
Yeah.
Not present are Kristen Michelle and Radonna Mikes.
Thank you. So we're going to take a look at the minutes for our special meeting on January 18, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Any second?
I second.
Thank you, Cordula. Any discussion, corrections, updates? Okay, so we'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the special meeting minutes?
Aye.
Could you indicate with the hand raised or aye? That would be great. Kaya? Okay, I see a unanimous consent. It's a 6-0. Did Susan drop off? Oh, there you are. Hi, Susan. Sorry. Great, thank you. So that's 7-0.
Chris,
please.
could you do me a favor?
Please.
Could you just make sure you're speaking clearly and enunciating well so that our
Thank you.
closed captioner can capture everything and that everybody can hear if that's how they're using it, please. Thank you.
Thank you for
really
that.
Big crowd here today, by the way. So welcome everybody.
It's really wonderful to have everyone. And this is a special meeting that we are having to particularly take up some old business. So while we have everyone, we could do a quick round of introductions. Could you just give us your name? And we already know you're a member of the site committee, if you call yourself out there. So I'm Chris Gutierrez. I've been the chair here for this year of the Community Gardens Advisory Committee. Cordula?
Yeah, I'm on Main Street, Cordula Oman.
Talia? You're muted.
Sorry, Main Street Gardener. I was on the advisory committee and now I am heading up the Friends of the Gardens Santa Monica Roots.
Susan?
Hi, everybody. My name's Susan McCory. I live at Main Street. Been there a long time. Love the gardens. Love all the people. Thank you.
Gives
Alan? Ellen?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Hi, I'm Alan Toy. I'm with the Park Drive North Garden Group.
Kaya? You're muted, Kaya. Can you just let us know where you garden as an advisory committee member?
Yeah, I'm Euclid Gardner. I thought, yeah.
Nat?
Hey, everybody, Nat Zappia. I am the representative of Park Drive South. Good to see you all.
Nat also serves as our vice chair. Andy?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Andy Lieberman, Main Street.
Thank you. Mr. Gomez, Andrew?
Hey, Andrew Gomez, Recreation and Parks Commission, and then I'm the liaison here to the Community Gardens Advisory Group.
Thank you. Martha?
Hi. Martha, I'm an invitee here and volunteer at Ishihara Community Garden, Learning Garden.
Great. Nabilia?
Hi, I'm just in the waiting list for community gardening.
We love having you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marlene?
Hey, I'm Marlene, across from Ishihara. I'm an unvaccinated, unwelcome person, but I'm still here. Anybody
love
could
you,
come in my
Marlene.
garden. Anybody could help in my garden, whoever doesn't have a vaccination, anytime.
Laura?
Hi, I'm here in the Marine Park, hoping to get that garden up and running here someday soon. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping to be a participant in the shared space. I've had my name on the list for many, many years, and I think this is my opportunity. I'm looking forward to it.
Nancy? Nancy might have stepped away for a moment, but Nancy's an old timer with us and has come back to participate as she can. And T. Waybright, you all know, is our wonderful staff member and caption admirer. I make a point of asking us to introduce ourselves because as the Community Gardeners Advisory Committee, we want to set that model of really embracing whoever participates with the gardeners. And as today we're going to pass or approve rather our bylaws, we have the opportunity to establish the rules of our meeting in conjunction with what the city expects, but also in a way that really facilitates an open conversation while primarily of the members of this committee, also including where we can the public. And so we aren't as strict on our non-formal chits for public commentary, but we do ask the public if you have a question on an agenda item, just to wait for us to commence that and to begin our discussion before you dive in. And we ask everyone in your wonderful civil intercourse to also be concise and we can move this meeting in an efficient way. So welcome everyone. And as we now move to our agenda item of tonight for these bylaws, you have in your packet for this evening, and if you did not, Teague, do you want to share this? Should I share my screen, or do we just want to go through these bylaws? Teague, can you share your screen?
I certainly can pull it up. Give me one second.
That'd be
here.
great. While you do, I'm going to give a context for those again. For those of us who haven't been able to be with us, we've taken a couple of meetings just to cast an overview of what was to come. This is a request and a requirement actually of the city to standardize all commission, task force, and in our case, advisory committees to have a certain set of bylaws. The city provided us with a template. In our case, we have had longstanding site representatives got operational guidelines and responsibilities, and we certainly have our rules and regulations. The former has the strong basis for our current bylaws, and we do allude to our rules and regulations, as you will see in a moment, in the draft. If you have received the draft as the members of this committee, and it's important for us to be able to update you on what we thought would be much more apropos bylaws for us. We have spoken to the city clerk and confirmed that our own operational guidelines can dictate, assuming we're not violating any Brown Act or any other considerations. So the current draft before you comes after a very productive administration committee meeting in the last 10 days, by which we carefully went over once again, following 2 earlier episodes in a retreat and a general meeting of the members here. So at this point, what I want to call our attention to is the manner in which we have now conformed the template to meet our own bylaws, including some modifications that are important to us because they were, to reflect the commitment of what we do here at our meetings. So obviously, we've just called out the advisory committee name, and we've made an acronym throughout. I did want to highlight that we put in these rules of orders, that they are based on those 2 documents I just alluded to, both of which you have had in the past. The operational guidelines we included this evening because we would like to discuss one modification. Teague, if you don't mind scrolling down. Oh, and by the way, any of these rules, we can, by a vote of 2/3 of our quorum or our membership per meeting, change them as needed. In the case of my chairing, or if Nat were chairing, we can also modify as we need to with the support of the membership, how to conduct meetings. So it's pretty straightforward. Teague, if you don't mind scrolling down, if you can, and okay, that'd be great. You see the quorum that we have. Currently, I should point out, our size of our committee has been 10 typically. Hence 6 we had designated as our quorum. We are too shy right now of our current status, and yet we'll still maintain the 6-member quorum. And as we move along, we pretty much have what you already understand to be the Brown Act requirements. Attendance is an important matter, so that please, should you know that you're going to be absent, please let me know and Teague know, because otherwise it becomes an unexcused absence, but we do not want to lose any of you wonderful people from our membership meetings. We will then just carry forth. We've made some important additions on setting our agenda. As you all know, we typically have Teague and myself, and often Nat, and any of you address the agenda items in preparation, but often we then send it out to the team and allow for any additional items to be attached. We decided to confirm, Teague, if you want to go down to the next page, that any additional items coming in by the members of this group really need to be there at least 3 days ahead, 96 hours, which would be 4 days ahead of the actual meeting, 1 day ahead of our posting. So Teague usually posts it on a Thursday before our Tuesday meeting. And we're asking all of our members if there's any changes or any additions to make doggone sure we have those by the Wednesday or 96 hours prior to a regular meeting, a typical regular meeting scheduled for a Tuesday. Now, we also want to point out that any member of the public, we've always had this, but we just want to call it out tonight. Any member of the public can add an item, ask us to address an item, and that would come to me or to Teague or to any member of this site representative group, the advisory committee, who then will communicate it to us. And assuming it meets the requirement of the time, we're all set. If we cannot agendize something because we have a packed meeting, we'll set it out for a future meeting. And then the rest of the particulars lay out how we conduct our meeting. That's why you noticed that I asked Teague to call the roll. We're trying to begin, conforming in many ways. I think we can go all the way down to how people are right there, the administrative proceedings. There is in our meetings for typical other commissions or the council, a certain kind of quasi judicial opportunity. We don't have that in our situation, but we do have, as called out in our garden rules, section 212B, a commitment if anyone is being asked with 3 anticipating a 4th citation to be evicted from or forfeit their permitted plot, we do have a process for an appeal and arbitration. So we thought to just call that out, that is the only formal administrative proceeding of any appeal type that we have. And we thought to call that out and make sure that our rules reflect it, our bylaws rather reflect that. Further on, pretty straightforward. Teague, if you want to continue down to everything you know to be the case in our meetings. We don't have necessarily sworn testimony and subpoena power, but we just kept that all in as the city clerk would prefer us to standardize this. If we go to the next, go down to the pretty much everything else is straightforward. We did not, public testimony, Rule 16. We decided to eliminate time limits and requirements of registering with the CHIT, the process of speaking, because we have a healthier opportunity in this kind of advisory committee to have our conversation flow, and we did not want to interfere with our building community, even with this group. And that pretty much calls out the most serious of changes that we made and carries forth the bylaws. So I wanted to ask Alan, did I cover pretty much everything that we discussed? Was there any augmentation you want to note?
I don't see anything that you didn't cover, Chris.
And we carefully went through, Alan was very good at double checking both the municipal code about public meetings and every other matters that we take into consideration. And Teague clarified with the clerk any of our own questions, particularly around were we bound to have conflicts of interest, because we both advise for the community gardens and we are the participants of the community gardens. And we were set to be okay with what we've done.
Chris,
So what-
I do have one
Please, Teague, go
just
please.
change here. They are called the Community Gardens Advisory Committee Guidelines and Responsibilities. So we just need to take out the word operational.
Okay,
in the-
I apologize.
Yep, no worries.
Yes.
I had it written somewhere else as well. So
So could we, do you want me to make that change? Do you want to make that change?
I'm just putting it on record that we were making that correction.
Okay, and then offline, you and I can decide who conforms with that technically. Are there any other questions, any points of concern?
Do you mind if I stop sharing?
No, thank you. Now we'll share the faces. Anything that surprised anybody, or these are technically how we want to make sure we're running operations here, and should Nat and I not be around one day, then any of the rest of us here at this meeting will know how to move forward. All right, with that then, do we have a motion to approve this set of bylaws? Susan? And a second? Ellen. So we moved by Susan McCrory and seconded by Alan Toy. Any further discussion? We'll call the question. We should do a roll call on this, Teague.
Can you
I'll go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
I'll go
can
ahead
you
and
do it for me?
Yes,
Yeah.
I will. So Alan Toy,
Yes.
Cordula Oman.
Yep.
Kaya Dodge. Kaya, you're muted. I can unmute.
You can all unmute.
You can also acknowledge like a thumbs up or something
Okay,
like
can
that,
you
Chris,
thumb
as
up?
long as it's, yep.
Thank you. Kaya, how are you voting on the approval? Thumbs up? Okay, thank you. Nat Zapier? Thank you, Alan. Andy Lieberman?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, and Chris Kacharis? Yes. So that's unanimous 7-0 vote to approve our bylaws. Thank you very much. That's been a long haul on what can
Nice
be.
work,
often-
Chris.
I have to really thank Alan. I really thank
Of
Alan
course.
for holding us to the line of what we had to do. All right,
Great.
as we go ahead, T.
No, I just said great job. That's all
Oh,
I did.
thank you. Well, thank you all of you for persisting. Continuing on tonight's agenda, which I just lost sight of. Here we are. We have as an opportunity to take a look at one of our issues on our guidelines and responsibilities. T, did you want to bring that up? So I know all of you have become quite familiar, I hope, at least a little familiar with. These are indeed our community groups' responsibilities. And we realized that one section, Teague, if you don't mind going to inspection support, we realized even that we were tremendously diligent on making sure how we would meet the respected responsibilities. We've had a challenge in the last couple of COVID years, and then coming forward, following Talia's fastidious walking the gardens before the inspections with 1, 2, and sometimes 3 of us, we've had an experience where it's been quite uneven. And so what we wanted to do is make a slight modification of this section to change from a required designated site rep or 2 to walk the gardens prior to the inspection, to have an opportunity to do so should the staff need that support in an additional manner. The history of this, I'm sure Susan can add to it. The history of our wanting to make sure that the gardeners participated was as much for the support of the gardeners as it was for the support of the staff. But as it's been a challenge to be consistent and timely, we thought to alter the wording on these kind of support we provide. Teague, is there anything else you want to add about our thinking in this regard? And then we'll take questions.
Yes, simply that this also protects all of gardeners or anything else from what would be considered conflict of interest of issuing of citations, which word comes up often about those types of things. This does not remove the idea that site representatives and myself or whatever city staff are involved would work together on making sure that gardens are being utilized appropriately. So it doesn't stop that communication. It just changes the formalization of how the inspections would be handled.
Any questions or concerns by any advisory group member? Any questions from the public or Andrew, Mr. Gomez? Okay, that would be the first alteration. The second is to clarify, should there be an arbitration meeting, we would expect, as we've set out in the regulation 2.12b, that 2 random site reps would participate with city staff to arbitrate a matter of someone who would be subject to a forfeiture appealing. And if chosen, we need that each of the site reps understand that they would agree to participate So that's why we thought we would call that out more formally. I don't see any question hands raised. Okay. Those are the two major changes. Teague, I'm seeing that. Oh, yes,
We
thank
also
you.
had just
Yes.
a couple areas that we wanted to confirm and talk about okay, this be one of them.
Right, that's great. And of course, during COVID, we altered with the restructuring of the cities, divisions, et cetera, we altered our bi-monthly meetings to be quarterly. We have talked about having bi-monthly meetings again, and we can always have a special meeting. Need we do that? Ellen?
Yeah, hi. Just before we get to this one, I wanted to, can you scroll back up a minute, Teague, please, to the last item? So E, arbitration meeting. Now, we talked about what that means exactly. And, we wanted to clarify that we're not a quasi judiciary committee. We're not, what we do is not binding, we're advisory. So when an arbitration meeting is requested, that was basically, that would be a gardener who was probably asked to give up their permit or something based on their notices of non-compliance or something. And they might want to then bring it to our committee for a further kind of adjudication or appeal. And what we would then do is we would select people to meet with that gardener along with the staff, but our opinion about it would only be advisory, and the ultimate decision if they wanted to take it further would be actually with staff who are the supervisors of Teague or people in that department who are of a higher pay grade or level of supervisorial consideration. And so essentially, we didn't want it to be that people could come to us and expect that we could overturn something. We would just make a recommendation to staff if we did have that arbitration meeting.
Alan, and I think that's some wording that I knew that I had some notes and couldn't word that appropriately. We should probably add that in here for clarification, correct?
Sure. I mean, just to maybe a parenthetical addition there that says arbitration, defining what an arbitration meeting would be briefly, and then saying that those meetings are purely advisory to staff and are not binding.
Okay, fantastic. We'll do that.
Thank you, Ellen. That's great clarification.
Back down to here.
I want to make sure everybody understood that. Were there any follow-up questions on that regard? Okay, great. Yes, to go back to the quarterly meetings, so we're just identifying those as the regular meetings. Should we, as we have done this month, realize that one quarterly meeting every 3 months is not enough, then we would add a special meeting. So that's the only modification here, is just to call out at this point that we expect to meet regularly on the quarter. That's the first Tuesday of each third month. Great. Oh, thank you. So we hadn't formalized the process of our amending or repealing any of our guidelines and responsibilities. So I'm glad that you've added this amendment. These would tonight, with the slight modification or the additional wordsmithing, we'd like to get an initial approval of these so we can move these forward and have them signed. Do we have anybody who would make a motion to approve?
So I'll do that. I'll move that we approve this with the inclusion of that parenthetical short statement that we just discussed.
I'll second the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Kaya. And any discussion, any further discussion? With that, let's do a roll call. I'll call out the roll for us to vote on the matter. Alan?
Aye.
Cordula,
Right.
Susan. Great, aye. Annette
Aye.
indicates aye. Andy
Aye.
and myself, Chris Kacharis, aye. That passes 6-0. And Kaya, did we get Kaya? We haven't gotten Kaya. There we are. Okay, thank you. 7-0. I knew there was one missing. I apologize. All right, so with that, that brings our agenda to the item dealing with our favorite topic, which is taking the urban agriculture incentive zone forward. And so I believe that you each received, except for our public participants, a letter that I drafted with the input of former work of the Urban Ag and others. And if Teague, do you have that letter handy? Yeah, I could pull it up if you can't. Do you need me to share my screen?
Yeah, you're gonna need to,
Not a
unless
problem.
you can tell me when you sent it to me.
I sent it to you this afternoon.
Oh, I should be able to
Um,
find it.
But I can do that right now. Are you all seeing that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry, I'm not as familiar sharing on this display. This would be a letter that comes from us as a full committee to have the Rexon Park Commission agendize a full discussion of the urban agricultural incentive zone as soon as possible. Could you take a moment, if you have the letter before you on your own desktop, or I'll scroll. We can come back to the details of whom to CC, but the text of the letter is before you.
Yeah, I read it. I thought it was amazing. Very good, Chris.
Hang on a second. Let's just give everybody 30 more seconds. And then we'll start with you, Cordula.
Okay.
All right, Cordula, your
Well, I read
comments,
it.
feedback?
I read it this afternoon, and I was really impressed. I thought it was very good, and I hope that we can, keep our gardens the way we've had it, and not go again for term limits and things like that. And
We're not discussing term limits at this point. This letter doesn't have anything to do with term limits. It has to do with this particular initiative we've been looking forward to. But I respect your additional.
no, maybe
comment.
okay.
That's
Maybe
great.
I must have mixed something up then. Okay.
No problem. Ellen,
Well, I have a little problem with
good,
just the
please.
wording of a sentence. Such an incentive zone advantages lower property taxes, voluntary use of open land for agricultural purposes.
Okay, it is a draft. Thank you. So
Can we, that's just sort of
let's play with that.
it's a bureau speak kind of sentence there.
That's great. So why don't, I don't want to take forever wordsmithing it, but I'm definitely apt to.
I would have to, if you want to approve this tonight, I guess we're going to wordsmith it tonight, but I would say such an incentive zone would allow for lower property taxes for
the use of open land agriculture.
yeah, but there's a percentage cutoff.
Oh, that's true. Well, we don't even have to have the sentence because we obviously
how about such an incentive zone would lower property taxes for certain voluntary uses of open land for agricultural purposes. That way, it doesn't cover
okay,
all.
for lower property taxes for certain use.
For certain voluntary uses of open land for agricultural purposes.
Good. Okay.
And that way, certain would be qualified by the percentages and the other aspects of what's in the actual act or the
That sounds
ordinance.
great.
Okay.
Thank you. Any additional comment, question?
Well, effectuated, that's another word.
Okay, let's good. Sorry, this is what happens when you're drafting quickly. That's why we're all here together to make it a more. How about,
Initiated.
pardon me, initiated?
Yeah, that's a much more appropriate and
That works. I thought it was important for the Rexon Park Commission and Andrew Gomez as our liaison. I wanted to have you have a good opportunity to remind the commission of the work that's been done alongside with your subcommittee, the variety of players, including waitlisted gardeners and youth who have participated now for 2 years on figuring out how to add, and the UAIZ's role in that for gardens. The other thing I thought would be very important is to contextualize the UAIZ and the community gardens as both an initiative that helps carry out the city's sustainability and climate goals, but also really meets a high priority of the economic recovery on an equitable basis, which can't be done if people aren't getting their food in healthy ways.
there's
Yes, Ellen?
another sentence down here that
Please, go ahead.
it's in the 4th paragraph at the
Go ahead.
last sentence. The new city ordinance requiring recycle organics.
The recycling of organics.
Yeah, thank you. Recycling of
Where
would-
are we?
would-
There we are.
would do the trick.
Yeah, hang on. Thank you. Okay. With that, is there anyone who would like to, oh, Martha, go. Your question or your comment? Martha, you're muted.
Right. The sentence before the one that Alan just mentioned is very
Please.
long and could be broken up into several ideas.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, that's good. So let's do that. Let's.
So let's see, I would say, advancing along, okay. When you come to as well as, then start a new sentence.
Yeah, put a period
there?
after climate
Okay.
goals.
Okay, climate goals.
Okay.
The UAZ would also meet the council's current priorities, not as well as. So the UAIZ would also meet.
Help me.
Yeah. Well, we just meet, help meet.
That's fine. That's
yeah.
fine. Okay. That's great. We don't usually wordsmith here, but this was an opportunity and we have the time this evening to. It's also really important for us. You all have worked so hard on this issue and we need to get it before. I know Teague and Talia and others have presented to the Rexon Park before, trying to get this agendized more formally. It has yet to been there, and we're moving this forward as soon as possible.
I think that you
Go ahead,
need,
Alan.
what you might need here is to basically say what the role of the Recreation and Parks Commission would be, which is to
Oh, that's good.
you can say the UAIZ possibilities warrant your exploration and deliberation soon. If the
With the recommendation.
if the Recreation and Parks Commission so desires, we are asking for a recommendation to be forwarded on to the city council for action on this matter, something like that. If the commission agrees with the content or the need for a UAIZ, we we recommend that the commission passes this, or so we hope the commission will pass this recommendation on to city council for their action. I can't see what you're writing because the live transcript closed captioning is over it, but if you could roll up
Okay,
just,
that-
okay, that's good. Yeah.
Let's see, if the Recreation and Parks Commission agrees for the need of the AIZ, we hope that the commission recommends to the council.
We'll recommend that the council take appropriate action or to create a UAIZ for the city of Santa Monica. Something like that. A UAIZ ordinance.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Thank you. All right, so I make a motion that we, as the Community Gardens Advisory Committee, approve this letter to be submitted to the commission. Let's go to the top of the letter. I've listed all of the respective commissioners. Of course, this would go to their emails. And I'm wondering, it'll go to the staff, Andy Yeagle, and the general email for the staff recipients. I'm wondering, do we CC anyone on it? Besides the.
Well, I think the mayor would be appropriate just to give her a heads up, and David White and Andy, yeah, sure.
Okay, great. And finally, do we put this on the city letterhead?
That's a question I was wondering, can we do official business that way? Because we are an official subcommittee of a committee of a commission or whatever.
I
the
don't know,
answer
but
to
we can.
that.
I don't know, but I'll ask tomorrow.
Andrew, is that you? I apologize. I didn't see. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. That would be really helpful because we could submit this tomorrow afternoon or whenever you learn of the matter. Otherwise, we'll format it nicely on clean.
And you can put the date in when you figure
Oh,
out. exactly
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So with those additional understandings, a date and a potential letterhead, but even without the letterhead, I move to have us approve this letter to be submitted to the Recs and Parks Commission tomorrow or as soon as possible before the next meeting. Hang on just a minute, Andrew, we're going to go ahead and does anybody want to second that motion?
Yeah, I'll second it for the point of for
Okay.
discussion. So
All right,
Andrew,
now we have a discussion. Andrew,
please unmute.
you're still
Andrew.
muted.
I was trying to, there you go. I was going to interject one thing on the letter. I just thought maybe it could have been termed differently. Is there any way you can put the letter back up?
Yes,
Sorry, I had raised my hand.
it's okay. I apologize. I didn't see you.
Can you scroll up just a little bit? There you go, right there. Where?
Here, okay.
Let's see, I'm trying to find where that was. Let's see here, where it says the new city ordinance requiring the recycle of organics. Would it be better suited, the new city ordinance requiring the recycling of organics?
That's fine.
I
It's a friendly amendment. We could change that.
maybe that was just me.
It's okay.
Oh yeah, I missed that one. You're right, Andrew.
That's good.
And the one thing is that now that you have this letter formalized and it's going to be approved by all of you, our next meeting is this Thursday. So this way I can ask.
You can report on this.
Exactly. And then I could ensure that all our commission members, I could ask them to ensure that they all read this. And so we could essentially move forward with getting this on the agenda.
That would be very helpful. All right, any further discussion? Okay,
Call the question.
Ellen,
I call the question.
call the question. Great. Ellen,
Aye.
Cordula, okay, is that a hand raised? Okay.
No, that's
aye.
fine. Misunderstood the part, right?
Kaya, Kaya. That's a hand raised. Susan. Thank you. Thumbs up. Nat. That's an I with the hand raised. And Andy. And also with the hand raised. Myself, Chris Gutierrez, aye. That passes 7-0. This is a really important step. And thank you, Andrew, for being here, because you'll be able to carry this forward and finally get this on that agenda. It's an important issue. Ellen.
Can I just say thank you to Talia for leading this for years now. Really, and congratulations, it's finally going forward, girlfriend.
Absolutely.
Hey.
And I want to second that, both as the chair that she led us on and as now the Santa Monica Roots president. She's done more than yeoman's work on this.
Thank you all. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, why didn't we pick this up before? We were so busy with everything else. So thank you guys for picking this up and getting it to RPC. Thank you.
And those of us who can be there on Thursday, it wouldn't hurt. I will be there. So we'll help you out, Andrew, if you need us to testify. I don't think we would have to, but should you want us to, we'll do that. Okay, with that.
I have a question about that meeting, though. Is that Zoom, Andrew, or is it in person?
It's Zoom.
Okay, so Chris, can you make sure that we all get the Zoom link, please?
Yeah, I'll reach out to the staff, and Andrew, if you don't mind helping me make sure. Is that Andy?
Who is the staff?
Yes, Andy Eagle.
Okay, great. I'll reach out to him tomorrow, but I'll CC you, Andrew, and just in case that something gets a little tough.
Because Andy wasn't in attendance at the last meeting, and I know Jeanette filled in his place. So what I would do is, why don't you go ahead and just in case include Jeanette in there as well.
Okay, and Teague, of course, you're going to be included on this. I don't know that. What's Jeanette's last name? I don't think I have that. I'll follow up with Teague on getting that.
Gant, G-A-N-T.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And Chris, one last thing, you'll have that the modified letter sent to me, so I have ahead of the meeting.
Absolutely, I'll send it to you, and you're going to get back to us in the morning as to whether we can put it on letterhead. Okay, that'd be great. Finally, with that, we have an opportunity to hear from the public on any agenda that we had not, and any items that were not agendized. Any of our public contributors?
And I just for those that are interested, I just put the the URL for the Rec and Parks Commission down in the chat. So if you want to copy and paste into a different browser, that will get you the agenda for the 17th.
Would you be able to email that to us, please, Teague?
I can do that too. Teague, I don't see it in the chat. I apologize.
How about that? Maybe if I
There
hit
it is.
enter, if I want to hit enter, or I have to hit enter, it has to go.
Quick fingers, we like that.
There you go.
Okay. So, Ellen.
Yes, I just heard that Radonna has resigned from the committee, and I wondered at what point do we either try to recruit new members, or how does that work? I mean,
Well,
is
we-
there going to be a
it's a
call for?
It's
that,
a
or do we
two-step
just wait?
process. Right. We need to agendize formally accepting that. We have communicated with her to thank her for her service and also for informing us, but we can't discuss that tonight. It's not agendized, but we will do that at our next meeting and immediately start recruiting as we can. So Alan and Nat, the garden is yours to recruit.
Try our best.
I just want to thank all the public who've been here. You know, yes, we're looking forward to Marine Park, and we're looking forward to helping out on more community meetings for that, get people ready, and to help in any way we can to engage you at any of our other events. So with that, we have wrapped our agenda. My goodness, it's only 7:21. We like these early meetings. And could we have a motion to adjourn? I'll move to adjourn.
I second that.
Second it, Nat. Okay. All in
Thank you all.
favor? Say aye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
So
you,
meeting's
Andrew, for
adjourned
coming
at
to our meeting.
7:21.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, Andrew.
Okay, we'll
We'll
see
see you.
you. See you on Thursday.
Teague, do you want to stay on for a minute? And I'll debrief with you for just a quick second.